you know I had to turn back to get the can. Now, hello and welcome to the Crochet Cakes YouTube channel. We are squeezing in the last video of 2024. Now, I don't know what to say, so I'm gonna take a sip of this. Let me tell you that I had quite the debate on what drink we should be sharing for New Year's Eve because bubbles were in order, of course, but as I was saying, I didn't feel like drinking Prosecco or champagne, so I was like, well, what can I do? I don't really want a hot cup of tea because I still want some bubbles. So kombucha it is. We are saying goodbye to 2024 with a glass of bubbly, fizzy kombucha. There's so much to chat about that I'm kind of confused as to where to begin, but I guess we can begin by doing a little year in review right after I put on some lipstick because I just realized I'm not wearing any. All right, we have lipstick on, we've grabbed our notes, and we have a refill of our bubbly. We are all set to sit down and discuss what goals we had set in 2024 and answer the question, did we meet them? Before we begin all that though, thank you so much for spending crafty time with me this year, for offering comments, insights, questions, creative criticism, all of it. I am so thankful to have you here. And of course, thank you for helping me organize this little crafty schedule because that is what we did in the first video of 2024. So to review, we organized the designs for the Shield Maiden pattern, which is now the Flower Garden vest. We also organized the release date for vest number 2, the crochet sock tutorial, which is a worsted weight sock tutorial that while we didn't really do a yarn review for it, we did do the tutorial, which is broken up in 2 parts. One for kind of like the basics of crochet socks, and then another for the tutorial itself. Not only did we release these 2 patterns, but we also scheduled the tutorial for the oven mitt, which I have so much fun making that oven mitt that I talk about it a lot and I share it a lot because it's a beautiful, useful gift that takes, in comparison to a garment, no time at all. And speaking of garments, we did do the lazy polka dot top, which is inspired by the vintage Echo cardigan. Now the lazy polka dot top, it uses the same stitches, but we've reviewed the construction, so it's more of a summer tee than a sweater cardigan garment. And in addition to that, we finished one of our long-standing whips, and we did take a decision on another super long-standing whip. So the long-standing whip that we finished is the Tunisian blanket, and I did a whole vlog about that, so I won't actually talk too much about the Tunisian blanket that we finished, but I will say that I want to thank you for watching the vlog and sticking with me throughout the year when I shared the little bits of progress that I did on that Tunisian blanket. To summarize it, I loved crocheting, Tunisian crocheting my blanket. It was a different feel entirely to just crocheting a blanket, and I think one of the things that really propelled me to finish it was the fact that I didn't have to join any squares after I crocheted the blanket. It was so beautiful that it's just done in like strips where you just change color. And yeah, if you ever just want to start a little project that you can work on quietly throughout the year, just to meditate and a no pressure project, I recommend this Tunisian blanket. The Pilsen blanket, it's fun, it's beautiful, and it lets you play with colors and things that you may already have in your stash. For those beautiful souls that really wanted a more detailed in-depth of yardage and all that stuff, I did do a Ravelry project page for this blanket. It's live, it's ready for you to view, and if you have any questions about things that I did different, then feel free to shoot me a comment here on YouTube or send me a private message through Instagram, an email through Ravelry, anywhere. Feel free to get in touch with me. And speaking of getting in touch and staying in community, I really want to give a shout out to Amanda for keeping the Discord alive. You were sharing projects constantly and just kind of like tagging people and, you know, keeping our spirits up in general with all the amazing craft that you're doing. So I really hope that you managed to crochet all the flowers that you need for your wedding, sending you all the crochet magic so that you can get it done, finished, and to your liking. Now, out of this list of crochet madness that we talked about, the only thing that we didn't do, or actually I should say, the only thing that we talked about that I didn't follow through with was re-releasing the crochet sock patterns that I had designed for Knit Crate. Knit Crate was a yarn subscription box that closed its doors in 2022. And I had designed, I think, 3 sock patterns for them. And I was planning last year on releasing them kind of like in collaboration with some yarn indie dyed companies so that we could get little kits put together. But I am very aware that you need to, you know, put that in this year so that it'll be ready next year, because everyone's busy. You know, we're growing our businesses and we need to plan our partnerships well so that we can fulfill all pre-orders and everything like that. So that one was on me, the fact that I really didn't plan the year to do that. I hope to pick it up this year. Even if I do not partner with indie dyers, I do want to release those sock patterns because they're beautiful and I love them. I do need to test them again though, because we all know that changing yarn changes your gauge, and in crochet socks, gauge is really key. So like even switching your hook that you use to crochet it will yield a different sock. But you can check that all out in the crochet sock video that I released earlier this year. I think it was in May that I released it. You may probably tell that was a very quick year in review because we've done a lot in this channel. We released 44 videos. This will be the 45th video released this year, which is a ballpark of 3.75 videos per month. So close to a video a week, which is what I wanted to do this year. I really wanted to grow our YouTube channel, grow the resources that are presented in the Crochet Cakes YouTube channel, and overall just engage more with our YouTube community because it really brings me so much joy to share with you and to create videos that I know that you enjoy. So from the bottom of my big crochet heart, thank you so much for joining me this year. I hope that you've had as much fun watching my videos as I've had creating them, and that you join me for our crochet year 2025. I'm still a little bit unsure of what we're actually going to be doing in 2025. I don't know if I want to move forward with more tutorials or with more vlog-like tutorials, like the one that I did for the Crochet Pumpkin Vest. You love that one. You know what? I agree. It's really fun to start with an idea, follow that idea all the way through in one single video so that you can see my thought process. You can see where you would probably be like, oh, Clarissa, I think this would be better this way. And I don't know, I just feel like it inspires people more to actually see a whole process instead of me sitting down showing the finished object. You know, I don't know, tell me your thoughts. Do you enjoy seeing like whole process videos, or do you like better to just sit and chat with a finished make and discussing how that make turned out and what we would change, what we would do differently? Let me know, definitely. Let's chat, because it's New Year's Eve and I don't know about you, but I'm having a pretty quiet New Year's Eve, so I'll definitely be at home checking my computer and chatting with you in the comments section if you are so inclined. Now that we talked about a little bit about that, and I keep mentioning finished makes and finished makes, I do have finished makes to share with you, things that I finished for Christmas, like literally in time to give as Christmas presents, and I'm so proud of myself for that. Let's start with the one that I do have on hand, and that is my husband's sweater. Now I'm calling this sweater number 5, which really is a horrible name for it because it is not a sweater, but it is the 5th garment that I have made for him. So I still think the name kind of just sticks. Instead of saying shirt number 5, sweater number 5, you know, like, anyway. rambling on. I'm so happy that I actually finished it just in time for the 25th of December to give to him. At least the main body of it, because after trying it on, my husband did say he would like some longer sleeves, which fair, totally understand. And I do have a little bit of yarn left over so that I can add to the sleeves, which is great because I actually crocheted this top with what was left over from knitting my second Love Magic sweater. All right, so what can I tell you about this sweater number 5 that you're seeing on the screen, because I don't have the full camera to show you what this looks like. Sweater number 5 was crocheted with a cotton bamboo blend that I bought off wecrochet.com, and I bought enough to make 2 garments, which is exciting. I just had to a little sneak trip to Joann to buy the last ball that I needed to finish this sweater number 5. It is a raglan construction, kind of a V-neck raglan, so we start working the raglan without joining in the round, and then after we complete certain parts of the V, we start joining in the round, continuing our raglan until we join right at the armhole so that we can continue with the body of the garment. So the inspiration for this one, construction look-wise, was the Panadero sweater. I knit that one for my husband. I was gonna say last year, but no, last year I knit it. It was too small. So I picked it up again in 2024, and I finished it right in time for our anniversary in 2024. Now with that Panadero sweater, what I didn't like about it was that the yarn, it did a lot of pulling. It was variegated yarn and it pulled a lot. So it makes it seem like the vest is just like at a slant, and that drives me a little bit crazy. But it is very lightweight, very beautiful for summer, even if it is crocheted with 75-25 superwash merino nylon. Now this one, as I said, is a cotton bamboo blend because my husband has very sensitive skin. This is DK weight bamboo blend, and I crocheted it using a 5mm and a 4.5mm crochet hook. I did a 5mm for the top, and then after joining in the round, I switched to a 4.5mm crochet hook to just do a slight tucking in, but then after I was a little bit past the armhole, ready to begin the midriff section of the garment, I switched back to a 5mm crochet hook because, you know, following the shape of your body when you're crocheting, I think is really, really key to getting a well-fitting garment. With this one, I also did a collar, which is tacked down, and I'm super proud of how it looks. I tacked it down because I wasn't liking how wide it was getting in the front versus how shallow it was in the back. So I thought that if I continued crocheting increases to get the little V point, it was gonna get to the point where he was gonna have a huge collar, but then it was gonna be very shallow. And because of the weight of the garment, even though I did do short rows in the back, because of the weight of the garment, the collar just kept popping up, and that annoyed both of us. So I tacked it down, still keeping with the little V-stitch construction that I did in the front. Now, I did not take any notes on how I crocheted this garment. I literally sat down with my yarn and I did, okay, what are we doing? We need V-stitch shaping, but I still want it to be raglan construction. So I went to my blog where I shared, I think it was sweater number 3. I shared sweater number 3, and I followed the stitch count for that for the raglan section, just not joining in the round, working at it in rows. But I know there are several garments that are designed to be V-necks worked top down that you can also look for, or you could also use the top half of the Shield Maiden vest to get your V, and then from there keep working the sweater in the round. Ooh. So that is a finished item that I'm very, very happy with. And all I need to do is add until I run out of yarn of rows. What? And all I need to do is add rounds until I run out of yarn. That actually made sense. Now, I will say an observation for top-down garments that constantly bothers me is the way the fits sleeve. Is the way the sleeves fit. Look at that, and I'm not even drinking any alcohol. This is kombucha. I really don't like that when you work a, let's call it a basic top-down sweater, you kind of don't have a fit for the shoulder. What I mean by that is that since you're working flat, it just looks like a little triangle. And if we look at our shoulders, they are slanted. So we've got the neck and then we kind of slant a little bit downwards. And if you don't add something like short rows to a garment in this shoulder section, your shoulder's just gonna pop straight out. So when I'm working a garment flat, like I said, I tend to add short rows up here to make sure that the shoulder, the fabric at the shoulder lays nicely with those short rows. But recently I bought a knit pattern and I'm working on it. It's a design by Lily Kate Makes, and I believe it's called the Wishful Sweater. It's crocheted using blown yarn, which I absolutely love blown yarn. Blown yarn is basically a tube of knit fabric that you blow yarn into it so that it creates an open, airy fabric, warm, but also very, very light because you're not plying the yarn together, so it's not creating such dense fabric. We Crochet had a yarn like this. It was, actually they had two yarns like this. One, I've quite forgotten the name of, but I designed the monthly sweater with it. And the other, it was a caterpillar yarn that was a cotton tube blown with wool. And I was going to actually purchase that yarn to knit this sweater, but they don't make that yarn anymore, which made me very upset and sad at the same time because I thought it was beautiful, wonderful yarn. Anyway, I ended up knitting this in the yarn that was recommended in the pattern. This is Drops Air, and I chose, this is to me like a creamy brown color, like it's more of a nutmeggy, but it doesn't have those tones of orange that nutmeg yarns tend to have. It kind of has creamy undertones with a dusty rose overtone. That's what I would call this. Anyway, the color is color 35. That really says nothing, but it is Drops Air, unicolor, a medium thick blown yarn made of baby alpaca and merino wool. So it is 65% alpaca, 28% polyamide or nylon, 7% wool, and it is 50 grams a ball, but it has 164 yards in those, in those 50 grams. Now, let's show you the garment because you're probably wondering, what was the connection again? Well, the connection was that this garment uses a technique so that you get a very nice shoulder shaping, like a very structured shoulder. I'm gonna try it on so you can kind of see what I mean. You can probably tell right now that this project is worked top down. So we start from the neckline and then we divide our front and our back, and we work our front separate from our back. Then when we're done with the armhole increases, we join in the round and continue our work. I used this technique for two garments already. One is the Marejala sweater and one is vest number 2. And I love using this technique, but in addition to using this technique, she has a very nifty trick to add fabric at the shoulder area so that your shoulder is a lot more structured and it's not gonna puff straight up. It has a slight slant, and I'm in love with that. Trying it on because that's when you work top down, you can try it on a little bit. As you can see, I'm done with the front panel, and I'm not done with the front panel. I am almost done with the increases for the front panel, and then it will be time to start the back panel, and then I can join in the round. I'm hoping to finish this before the heat really sets in Florida, but we shall see. I do love working on it. It's so beautiful against the skin. And that, by the way, is something that I learned when I was working all my projects in 2024. I just, from now on, want to commit to working garments or whatever project I choose in yarns that feel great next to my skin. Sometimes, you know, for the sake of designing something pretty, we can choose a yarn that at the end of the day, we don't really like the feel of. That's me with mohair, by the way. The Secret Garden, not the Secret Garden, the Secret Garden vest that I designed using the flower stitch uses mohair and cotton. The reason I don't find it as itchy is because I feel that the cotton does take a little bit of the itchiness away from the mohair, but let's face it, mohair next to the skin for me is a huge no-no, but I just absolutely love the effect that you get. So of course that means that you can either use mohair, or a little bit of a pricier option would be Suri alpaca. And Suri alpaca does feel beautiful against the skin, but like I said, it is a little bit pricier. And I know that 2025, we're all going to be working with some really tight budgets, Bitty, you okay? We're all going to be working with some pretty tight budgets. So I want to keep that in mind when I move forward with designs this year. So cheers to future yarny designs. Of which, by the way, I've already started a little list. And I really don't want to be talking about that now because that's going to be our first video of 2025. But I shall give you little hints that I am planning 2 different granny stitch projects. And I'm also planning more summery outfits as well as some sweaters, because you know that even though I live in Florida, I do love my sweaters. So we've got that to look forward to. Now, the other project that I actually finished, so we're going a little bit jumpy here, which fair, because at the end of the year, who has the attention span to keep things in a straight line? Anyway, I actually finished another item that I have 0 pictures of, and it was the gift that I crocheted for Mom. I made her an emotional support chicken, and I do think she turned out quite beautiful. She's a big girl. She is, I think she came out about this big because I used a worsted velvet yarn, which I am completely in love with for crocheting amigurumi. True, it's very hard to keep track of your stitches, but it hides so well that it doesn't look like you're doing stitches. It looks like you're one continuous fabric, you know, which I guess makes me a convert to working amigurumi in like velvety type yarns. So if you've never tried that, I recommend it. It really hides your stitches and it creates a beautiful fabric. I will say the stitches glide so smoothly that I had to go a little bit slower than I usually crochet because I wanted to make sure that I kept my tension tight because I am a loose crocheter. She still, as I said, turned out to be a pretty hefty chicken, which I'm actually super happy with. I don't have her here to show you because Mom is not here. Not only that, I didn't take any pictures, as I said, and in addition to that, Mom actually unpicked the seam, took out the stuffing, and shipped it in a box to Puerto Rico. So this chicken will probably not be seen until 2025. That really is it for our New Year's Eve video together because I actually am not crocheting at the moment. As I said, what I'm working on is this knit wishful, the name's on the screen, sweater because I really like it and I want to get it done in time for, okay, it probably won't be done for the cold of January, but definitely will be done so that I can at least take a picture outside with it. And I'm excited. I hope that you've had a very good Yule holiday, Christmas holiday, Navidad, Prospero Año Nuevo, whatever you are celebrating or maybe not celebrating. I hope that you've enjoyed the little break. And please remember that we are in winter. So it is a time, at least in the Northern Hemisphere, we're in winter. So it is a time to really slow down and reflect on what happened in 2024, and if we feel so inclined, what we would like to make better in 2025. It is a hermit year next year, you know, if that means anything. From the bottom of my heart, I really want to thank you for joining me this year in the YouTube channel, over on Instagram, Pinterest, my newsletter if you're subscribed. I took a little bit of hiatus for the Christmas season, but this week it's going to be 2025, so we will have the first newsletter of 2025, and I hope to fill it with lots of crochet trends and crochet goodies, as well as beautiful stories and messages that we share together. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for being here this year, 2024, with us in the Crochet Cakes YouTube channel. Thank you for all the well wishes for Mom as she underwent her chemotherapy. And thank you for providing hope, laughter, and just joy to my life. And I hope that I repaid it in kind. And let me know, of course, what you would like to see or do in the Crochet Cakes YouTube channel for 2025. Feliz Navidad y próspero año nuevo.